Right, let's do a quick name check. Have we got Mark Pistel there?
Right here.
Have we got Sarah Hartman?
Here.
And ᴄᴛ괜
Here.
Great. Now, two of them are from the band Real, and the other is kind of helped them out with this new EP called Phase Reset. So, if one of you would like to go ahead and explain what the basic idea of the EP is, then you're very welcome to.
I think Sarah.
Yeah. I guess I can talk about like the concept for it. So the idea of phase reset, something that really inspires me is neuroscience, and there's this concept in neuroscience where if you measure the oscillations of different neurons in different parts of the brain, if you have like a stimulus or something or some kind of event or something where the brain has to, focus, change its attention or learn something, you'll see the actual phase of the waveforms reset to match each other in different parts of the brain. And that's just something that I thought was a really cool concept that could be like a metaphor for just like cultural resetting and society and behavioral change, we all get stuck in our habits and then something triggers us at some point, maybe to say, I'm going to change my behavior.
Yeah, I would like to elaborate a little bit. For this EP particularly, for me, like I didn't really have as much of like the scientific connection to the meaning, I guess. Like this EP altogether was made out of just pure like freedom without like just feeling like critical or like you have to like be overcritical, and like it was like a huge reset in a way together, like making this record. Like for us, it like changed like workflow habits. Like it was that inspiring, like working with Mark, we just worked quickly. We made decisions quickly. And I guess I just felt connected to that name regarding this EP, like for that reason alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same here. It was just, for me, it was just the process of working with Kason and Sarah, and it all started out with no pretense at all. We literally just got together and started jamming on some music, and I think it opened some ideas for all of us, just in the way that we work and the way we make music.
Yeah, definitely. So how did you all originally meet each other and decide to make music together?
I like to take this one. So weirdly enough, we in 2015 we heard Holly Herndon's album Platform. Yeah. And we were just blown away by it, and we were on the way to see her at this random music festival in Arizona, and we got to meet her and even helped her troubleshoot her interface a little at the fest. And she was super friendly, her and Matt Dryhurst. And they mentioned that they got their album mixed by Mark Pistel at Room 5 in San Francisco. And they just raved about Mark and how much they loved working with him. So Sarah and I just decided to look Mark up and shoot him an email and be like, "Hey, are you interested in working on this?" And Mark responded. And
this was our first album that we released a few years ago.
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
So Mark mixed it over the web, and we became friends. And as soon as he came to Chicago, he came to run sound for Meat Beat Manifesto at the Cold Waves Fest. And Sarah and I came out, we hung out, and he was just like, "Oh, well, you should come to San Francisco and jam," and the rest is history there.
Wow, yeah. And Pistel is kind of a cool second name as well, so I guess that works for a musical name.
Well, oddly, I was born with it, and I guess it works.
And also, Real, the way it's written, is R34L, so that just gives an element of coolness to the
so very modern.
Yeah, we're going for like the kind of, I guess, surreal kind of approach. That was our vision for it. It was cool to make, like, it brought a lot of life to the concept, I guess, that we had in mind for the project, artistically, I guess.
Like analog meets the digital kind of, but in a mental way.
So creating an EP during a pandemic, how's that worked? I take it it's been harder.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I mean,
so we jammed on this before the pandemic, and we kind of took our time on it a little bit. We did all the jamming and everything before the pandemic went down, and by the time the pandemic happened, we were just doing like final touches on it remote.
Right.
some of the songs, a couple of the songs though,
We did remote.
So a couple of the songs we did, like from, we basically finished in the time that we were in Mark's studio. And then there were a couple of the songs where we were kind of throwing ideas back and forth, and using pieces from those jams to finish the idea. And that kind of unfolded during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then Mark sent us. Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say that, and then one of them we even made, just started with an idea here, and then I sent it to Chicago to those guys, and they expanded on it, and we were just sending tracks back and forth, and eventually Sarah did some vocals over the top, and they sent me the result. I was like, yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Sarah doing the vocals, is that kind of a regular thing? Because I noticed that most of the songs have a female vocal on them, and I doubt Mark or Kaysen have the ability to do that with their voice.
I really want to hear Kaysen do vocals on our next track.
You don't want to hear me.
She yells at me when I start to sing along with the tracks. It doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah also does a lot of the production as well. She's not just like the dedicated vocalist, but none of it. I don't think me and Mark really take that initiative or will, for that matter, this anytime soon.
Yeah, I do. I did pretty much all the vocals and the vocal processing and effects stuff. Besides the final mixing, yeah.
And of course, with electronic music, are the vocals still important, despite probably a lot more concentration than normal being put into the instrumental sound?
You know what? I don't want to say they're any more important than the instruments. In my perspective, I don't know. I love instrumental music, so I like the vocals to just kind of work with the instruments usually, and not try to always overpower them. I feel like it's definitely been a balance for me, as an artist to try to blend my vocals, in a way where I feel like it doesn't always take all of the attention from the rest of the textures and sounds.
Well, and also I'd say that, with the vocals heavily processed kind of the way we do it, it becomes another instrument and part of the just part of the ensemble, really,
Yeah, totally.
It's interesting that you provide your own vocals, because you could quite easily sample it, because I take it you'd be good at that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like sometimes I'll record something and I'll take pieces of it, and the pieces that I take will be completely different from what I recorded. So it is kind of like sampling yourself a little bit.
I sample a ton of her vocals. I've used it for even in a layer for a snare drum.
Oh.
Add some harmonics.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And the EP being called Phase Reset, what exactly does that mean?
So the idea that I talked about before with just different regions of the brain kind of synchronizing in neuroscience, for an attentional task, that's I'm kind of into nerdy science stuff like that. So
well, and also it's a great metaphor for society right now, which needs a phase reset,
Totally.
Yeah, I think the words phase and reset have been used a lot by governments this last year and a half, and longer than that now, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true for sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of ways to interpret it. I think I want people to kind of form their own interpretations. But Yeah.
So when you're coming up with an electronic track in this way, what is the process like? Is it different to how a musician would traditionally write a song?
I guess I would say the first 2 tracks we made in the album, I would say, are probably a little bit different. This is when we first showed up in San Francisco to go see Mark's studio, and he had the whole room MIDI clocked with all of his gear, and then we just recorded like a 45-minute or an hour and a half jam or something like that.
We were all just kind of like taking turns on different synthesizers and drum machines and stuff, and like rotating around the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with my studio is I like to do that, get everything all set up and plugged in, and then we can kind of pick a tempo or time signature and just sort of go for it. And we've got modulars all bleeping along in time and some drum machines, and and then with the 3 of us, it was awesome because we could all take turns, jumping onto different instruments, and then just improvising a bit, on each one, and then kind of reacting to one another, as we're doing it, and then recording it all on separate tracks so that we could take it and deconstruct it and reconstruct it later on. Was kind of the process.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. You can make up riffs on the spot and then combine them together to create the mother of all riffs.
Yes.
The idea anyway.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think To Let Go had a different approach. That's the last song on the EP. It's the ambient track. And I feel like we kind of conceptualized that one before creating anything. We're like, we want to make something like very landscape-ish and to kind of close it out. And it just like effortlessly came together over the web.
No, for sure. And the idea was we had a bunch of, several of the tracks were pretty up-tempo. So we wanted to do something a little more down-tempo and ethereal. Yeah. So we just kind of ran with that idea and it came together.
Yeah. And on the press release here, I don't know if this picture's associated with the EP overall as well, but there's a cool picture, which, well, I assume it's Sarah and Kason here. Sarah's got a cool jacket on, and you appear to have some sort of disco ball going on there. That looks like a fun picture to have taken.
Yeah, definitely. That was our friends have an art space over by us, so we hopped in there one day, and they had a bunch of cool lights, and we took some photos. So that was from that.
Yeah.
And one of my friends made a custom like sparkly real jacket with our logo on the back. So we've maintained kind of an eccentric clothing kind of theme. Shout out to Maureen for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That just makes it exciting if you ever perform live and they can see that jacket.
I want to see that jacket too.
And people will never
we'll have
forget.
To do a live show together just so we can see that jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we should do a phase reset show. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And does this kind of music work live still?
Yeah. What I usually do is I break down some of the stems of the songs and perform like for example, Phase Reset the song. I use my Moog grandmother for the bass. That's a monophonic synth. So I'll take out the audio stem for that and I'll sequence that live. So there's always some elements that we break down and have sequenced, and then some elements we want control over to be able to improvise with live. So it takes some time to premeditate that whole process after the album's done, but and then sometimes we'll just do DJ sets, and I don't usually break down the instruments for those or anything. I'll just mix them and all that.
And how is it to be able to work with a hero like Mark Pistel? Because he's got a Wikipedia page, and that to me suggests that he's famous.
It just means I've been doing this for a very long time.
It's incredibly humbling that Mark is just so like straightforward down to make music, and like it's like I feel like we just clicked right from the start, and as soon as we like really met him and got to see like his group Meat Beat Manifesto perform, like just to see that kind of history and like get a picture of what that was. And then that was inspiring itself. And then, you know, Mark was just so humble, like, yeah, come out and jam. We're just like, should we take him up on this? Does he really want us to come out? Like, because we will. and then we went out
I dare you
there.
to come to San Francisco.
And we saw his studio and we were just like, oh my God, like all this like insanely cool, like vintage gear. And like, we got to just like jam and play around and everything. And like all of it was just incredibly influential and inspiring.
It was amazing. Like we honestly, like, we didn't leave that studio for like a couple entire days. Like we were just there all day, and the day went by so quickly because we're just all like in such a flow together. It was
yeah, we didn't really do the touristy thing, that's for sure.
No, I didn't give you guys the 3-hour SF tour. It was just the 8-hour tour of my studio. But well, hey, I feel the same way. I'm really inspired working with Kaysen and Sarah, and you know, they're like a new generation of electronic music producers that I find super inspiring. I love their work, and you know, when I was asked to mix their record, I fell in love with the material right away. You know, I thought it was really something special, and so I really enjoyed that, and it's just been an inspiration for me. You know, I work with a lot of, in fact, I just did a little reunion tour for my old band Consolidated. Some people might remember from the late 80s and 90s. And, you know, so I've been doing it that long, and it's easy to kind of get into your established role that you've been doing for years and years. But when I started working with Kaysen and Sarah, it just, tore that away, and it made me feel just really inspired and fresh again, made everything fresh, you know? And so it's been a great experience for me working with these guys.
Definitely.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Well, what's coming up for all you guys? Are you going to be working on any projects together in the future, or have you had enough of each other?
Oh, we've definitely talked about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, we've got nothing in the works at the moment, but absolutely we want to do that. And one thing that I'm excited about, speaking of my old school stuff, we managed to get a remix by the very famous Adrian Sherwood of the To Let Go, which I'm super excited about. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to drop, but that's on the way, and so I'm letting the cat out of the bag there.
Yeah, it's a really
awesome.
really dope remix.
Yeah, that sounds
we loved it.
Yeah. And anything for just real that's coming up on your own?
We just played a show here in Chicago that was awesome. And right now, before we book anything, we're moving into a new home.
Nice.
And we're finishing 2 albums and or 2 EPs, I should say. And
we got like a lot. We got a bunch of different stuff in the works and wildly different genres. So
but we're taking a little break from shows just for a second until we get settled.
Yeah, definitely. And when Christmas comes along in maybe like a month or 2, up to anything exciting Christmassy, or just staying at home, a quiet one?
I don't know. It depends on the pandemic. Last year there was no Christmas, and it wasn't horrible, you know. I didn't mind not having to do the whole, you know, gift thing. It definitely sucks not seeing family and everything, but like it was kind of like a nice break from the stress, like not having to do the whole gift thing and all that. But
undoubtedly I'll be laying low. I've got no Christmas plans at all. Hey, maybe we should get together and make another EP. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm into it.
It's a good idea.
That sounds like a fun Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, your current EP is called Phase Reset, and it's out on Friday. And I assume it's just in all the usual places like Spotify, YouTube, etc.
Yeah, it's on all the major platforms and
the minor ones.
Let's shout out
Bandcamp.
We love Bandcamp.
Yes.
Yeah, Bandcamp.
Bandcamp is the one.
Great. Well, thanks very much for dropping by on our little show. It's been great having all three of you here.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Tom.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having us.